Well, the Victorian Art Museum is full of a couple of million of objects, but how many people think of the building itself as one great object, perhaps the most vulnerable object in the museum, and the one that we really want to appreciate afresh? I'm standing on the staircase that was the original main way into the museum, from the ground floor, its restaurants, up to the galleries. And it's a spectacular piece of Minton Majolica, or Majolica as they learned to call it in the Victorian times. And behind me is the portrait of the first director, Henry Cole, made in mosaic and this strange form of revival of Renaissance ceramic called Majolica. And it's one of the most spectacular corners, but it's a bit tucked away. And the V&A is full of these really quite spectacular feats of new materials, mixed, wrapping around engineers' work. So the museum is not built by one great architect, as so many London museums. It's built by engineers, royal engineers, military engineers, and then a team of artists and craftsmen and designers on site sort of close all that and pull it all together as and when the money becomes available. It's something we would never dream in today's project management, budget control methods. But the first director, Henry Cole, was an opportunist, and he let things grow, and he called in many great artists to decorate it. Some people think of the Victorian Art Museum as a decorative arts museum, somehow filling the gap between the National Gallery, the Tate, and the British Museum. But it was trying to do everything. They believed in the arts and crafts era, in a sort of Renaissance idea of the crafts workshop, the atelier. And Michelangelo designed buildings, painted ceilings, designed furniture, made sculpture. That was the Renaissance ideal that the V&A and the arts and crafts movement revived. So when you come to the V&A, you get the full range, from mural paintings by President of the Royal Academy to the latest spoon from the Victorian age, or indeed from today. And we've tried to pull out the fine art that's part of the fabric of the museum from those designs that we have in our collections and published in this book. Within the collections of the Victorian Art Museum are hundreds of wonderful designs, not only architectural drawings, but proposals by artists such as the Pre-Raphaelites, William Morris, Burne-Jones, and their contemporaries, Frederick Leighton, George Fielding Watts, for decorative schemes, for murals, for mosaics. We have all these in the collection. We pulled them together in this book to share, to help people appreciate this building and to discover it, to go down these dark corridors that perhaps now are a bit off the beaten track, because the museum has changed direction, it's evolved, it's grown so much since 1857. So it's a book to help you navigate and discover the permanent masterpieces that are part of the fabric of the building. So the V&A has evolved in fits and starts on this site in South Kensington since 1857. And it's remarkable that the new entrance that we're just celebrating this year on Exhibition Road, it's the first major construction since 1909, since the familiar face, the Edwardian face of the V&A opened, which faces south. We're now going to be facing rather towards the west, to the Science Museums, the Natural History Museum, and our other neighbours in South Kensington, and reconnecting with our heritage, our shared history, the great legacy of Prince Albert. One of the surprises in doing the research for the book was discovering just how quickly the reaction set in against this very rich polychrome sort of Gesamtkunstwerk, total artwork environment that the Victorians favoured. People criticised it at the time, but it was the Edwardians, who we tend to sort of lump together with the Victorians, but the Edwardians immediately reacted against, and this staircase I'm standing in was boarded up in 1905, and they hung engravings on it because they really didn't like it. And it's not just a sort of rise of modernism in the 1930s that led to so much of the V&A being streamlined and made to look sort of like white cube pure spaces in which masterpieces can be admired. It was a controversy, right? Even in the 1870s, some artists said, I'm not going to get involved with this big commission for Henry Cole to decorate every gallery in his space. Some of it should be quiet and the objects should be allowed to speak for themselves. So there's always been this rivalry, and I was quite keen to show that it's not just the bad old 1950s that couldn't see the splendours that are now being revealed, and indeed we have a lot of work to do to restore many more of these spaces and open them up to the public.